So there's a conflict happening thousands of miles away, right? But it's sending these massive shockwaves through the entire global economy. It's affecting pretty much everything, from the gas you put in your car to the interest rate on your mortgage. Let's dig into how this is creating a brand new and pretty shaky economic reality for all of us.
Okay, so the first thing you're probably feeling? The hit at the pump. For anyone in the UK, the cost of gas has literally doubled since the war began. And what's so wild about this is just how direct that connection is. This isn't some slow burn. It's a sudden, painful spike. We're talking an extra 20, maybe 30 pounds a month for a typical family bill. It just goes to show how fast this stuff can hit your wallet.
And make no mistake, this is not just a European issue. It's a global crisis. In some markets over in Asia, a single barrel of oil has already shot up to $170. I mean, that number is enough to make any economist break out in a cold sweat. It impacts everything: shipping, manufacturing, travel, you name it.
And all this uncertainty, it's now hitting home in a really big way. The Bank of England was pretty much expected to cut interest rates, which would have been a huge relief for homeowners. But instead, they've slammed on the brakes. And the effect on mortgages has been incredibly fast. Get this, one lender's 2-year fixed rate jumped from 3.9% to 4.6% in just 2 days because people were scrambling to lock in deals.
So what we're really seeing is a targeted war on energy infrastructure. And it's causing pain for economies all over the world. But the big question is, how did we even get here? What lit the fuse on this whole economic fire?
Well, all this chaos in the markets was kicked off by a super rapid and really dangerous series of back-and-forth attacks, and they were aimed squarely at the world's energy supply. It was this escalating tit-for-tat that basically sent the global economy into a panic.
So let's break down exactly how this went down. First, Israel hits Iran's South Pars gas field, which is a huge deal for their domestic energy. Iran wastes no time retaliating. Boom! They strike Qatar's processing plant, which is part of the biggest natural gas field in the world. And then Iran doubles down, hitting the Haifa oil refinery, the largest in Israel. Every single one of these steps pushed the world economy just a little closer to the edge.
Now, it wasn't just the markets that got rattled. This whole thing blew open a really deep and very public disagreement between the United States and its biggest ally in the region, Israel. It suddenly became clear they were not on the same page at all.
And here's what that disagreement really boils down to. The US had made it crystal clear, we are not targeting Iran's energy infrastructure. But then, what was Israel's first major strike? Hitting that exact thing, a gas field that is absolutely vital for Iran's civilian population.
And then, things got really public. When President Trump was asked if he'd spoken to Prime Minister Netanyahu about these attacks, he didn't mince words at all. He just came right out with this incredibly blunt statement, making it pretty clear he had stepped in directly. And you can really see the diplomatic scramble that happened next. At first, Israel was defending the strike, saying the gas field was a legit military target. But then, President Trump comes out and says he knew nothing about it ahead of time. And by the end of that day, Prime Minister Netanyahu had done a complete 180, publicly agreeing to stop attacks like that. It got to the point where the U.S. Secretary of Defense basically admitted, yeah, maybe we're not all working towards the same goal here.
Okay, so beyond all the tit-for-tat strikes, Israel has a much, much bigger goal here: regime change in Iran. But let's take a hard look at the official story versus what's actually happening on the ground.
Here's the official line from Prime Minister Netanyahu. He's framing this conflict as more than just self-defense. He's saying it's a mission to give the Iranian people a chance to, liberate themselves.
Okay, so that's the goal. But the big question is, are the actions they're taking actually leading to that? Let's see what the effects have been inside Iran.
And this is where things get really interesting. When you put Israel's actions side by side with the reality inside Iran, you see a huge disconnect. Israel has taken out top commanders, sure, but reports say they were just replaced by younger, even more hardline officers who are now totally driven by revenge. They've attacked security posts, but paramilitary forces are still all over the streets, telling protesters they'll be treated like the enemy. Far from collapsing, the regime is projecting strength.
So, where does all of this leave us? Well, honestly, in a pretty uncertain and, frankly, dangerous spot. This conflict is a long way from being over, and nobody really knows how it's going to end, which is a scary thought for global stability.
So let's just recap where we stand right now. The Iranian regime, it's still there. The country's stockpile of highly enriched uranium, the stuff you need for a nuke and a major reason for this whole conflict, it's still there too. Missile alerts are still going off in Jerusalem. And maybe the most telling thing of all, the U.S. has openly admitted they have no idea when or how this war will end.
And in the middle of all this high-level strategy and politics, you can't forget the human cost. For the average person in Iran, life has become a trap. They're stuck between the fear of attacks from the sky and the threat of their own security forces on the ground.
Which leaves us with the big, troubling question at the end of all this. With the key objectives not being met, with the major alliance showing serious cracks, and with the whole world's economy taking a hit, what exactly is the end game here?